Brothers and sisters, let me ask you a question. How often do we walk through life thinking about what we don't have instead of counting what we do have? How often do we focus on the burdens we carry, the worries that weigh us down, and forget to pause and simply say, Alhamdulillah? All praise is due to Allah. Imagine for a moment if you woke up tomorrow and every single thing you took for granted today, your family, your health, your home, your very breath, was gone. How would you feel? Would your heart ache with regret for the time you spent complaining instead of being grateful? Gratitude is not just a feeling, it's a lens, a way of seeing the world that transforms our hearts. It's the key that opens doors we didn't even know existed. When we cultivate gratitude, something remarkable happens. Our hearts become lighter, our minds clearer, and the guidance of Allah flows in ways we never imagined possible. Brothers and sisters, if we can just learn to say thank you with sincerity, the universe, as it were, begins to conspire for our good. Opportunities appear, solutions present themselves, and clarity washes over confusion. But we must understand, gratitude is not a habit we perform when life is easy, it is a practice we embrace when life is hardest. That is when the doors of divine guidance swing wide open. Think about the people who are truly grateful. These are not necessarily the people with the easiest lives, the most wealth, or the fewest problems. They are ordinary people, just like you and me, who have faced hardships, disappointments, and struggles, yet there is something different about them. Their hearts notice blessings even in the midst of trials. They wake up in the morning, perhaps with aches in their body, worries in their mind, and responsibilities weighing them down, and yet they pause. They take a deep breath and say, Alhamdulillah. This simple act, this acknowledgement of the blessings they have, begins a transformation that is profound. Gratitude is a lens through which we can view the world differently. It is the ability to see light in darkness, to hear hope in despair, and to recognize provision even when it is subtle. When you practice gratitude, you start to notice what you might have overlooked. The kindness of a stranger, the smile of a loved one, the beauty of the sun rising, the roof over your head, the food on your table, and the very breath that fills your lungs. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into extraordinary reminders of Allah's mercy. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who had lost his job, his savings were depleted, and his family was struggling. He felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. Every day he woke up with a heart full of complaints and a mind focused on what was missing. Life seemed dark. Opportunities seemed far away, and hope seemed impossible to reach. But one day, a friend told him to do something simple. Every morning, write down 3 things he was grateful for. At first, he scoffed. What did he have to be grateful for? But he decided to try. He wrote down small things at first, the kindness of a neighbor, the laughter of his children, a simple meal to eat. Slowly, something remarkable began to happen. His heart started to shift. The focus on lack, the constant worry and complaint began to fade. His mind became clearer, more open, and as his perspective changed, doors he hadn't even imagined began to open. Opportunities presented themselves. Solutions to problems became visible. People reached out to him in unexpected ways. Gratitude did not magically remove his struggles, but it transformed his heart and mind to see the guidance and provision that was always around him. This is the power of gratitude. It shifts perspective. When we focus on what we have rather than what we lack, the heart becomes fertile ground for divine guidance. The smallest blessings, when recognized, can illuminate the path in ways we could never plan. A grateful heart is a receptive heart. A grateful heart notices Allah's signs and whispers of guidance in everyday life. Without gratitude, blessings are overlooked, lessons are missed, and the path forward remains clouded. So, brothers and sisters, I invite you today to pause and reflect. Begin to notice your blessings, even the smallest ones. Say Alhamdulillah with sincerity. Let gratitude become a lens through which you view the world. As your perspective shifts, you will find that divine guidance is no longer distant or hidden. It begins to flow naturally into your life, illuminating the path you are always meant to walk. A heart that is heavy with complaint, bitterness, or envy becomes blind to the guidance that Allah sends. When we allow frustration, anger, or disappointment to dominate our hearts, we close the doors to clarity, opportunity, and divine inspiration. But gratitude has a unique power. It softens the heart. It melts the rigidity that comes from ego, pride, and constant dissatisfaction. When our hearts are soft, they can hear, feel, and respond to the gentle whispers of guidance that Allah sends into our lives. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this beautifully. There was a woman who had endured tremendous hardship in her life. She had faced betrayal, illness, financial struggles, and moments when it seemed the weight of the world rested squarely on her shoulders. For years, she carried resentment and frustration in her heart. She would cry out to Allah, but in her pain, she focused on what she had lost, on what she hadn't received, and on what seemed unfair. Her heart, burdened with negativity, could not recognize the guidance that was all around her. Then, one day, she decided to make a small but powerful change. Every morning, she began writing down 5 things she was grateful for. At first, it was simple: the love of her family, the kindness of a friend, the warmth of the sun, the ability to breathe, the food she had on her table. But slowly, something extraordinary happened. Her heart began to soften. The sharp edges of resentment and bitterness started to dull. She began to notice small blessings she had overlooked for years, and in doing so, she began to see the path before her more clearly. A soft heart is a receptive heart. It is a heart that listens and observes. It recognizes that even in the midst of difficulty, there is a lesson, a gift, or a guidance that will lead to something better. Gratitude trains the heart to focus on what is present, on what is available, and on the mercy that surrounds us at all times. It allows us to trust the process, to remain patient, and to open ourselves to possibilities that we might otherwise ignore. Gratitude does not erase hardship. It does not make pain disappear, but it transforms the way we respond to that pain. When the heart is soft, it can accept divine guidance, even when that guidance comes disguised as difficulty. Soft hearts are humble hearts, and humble hearts recognize that Allah knows best. They are hearts that can find peace in the chaos, hope in the darkness, and direction when everything seems uncertain. Brothers and sisters, if you want to receive divine guidance, start by cultivating a heart that is open and receptive. Let gratitude be the key that softens your heart. When you acknowledge the blessings in your life, your heart will no longer be hardened by complaint or frustration. It will become a vessel ready to receive wisdom, direction, and clarity. And when guidance enters a soft heart, it transforms not just your circumstances, but your soul, your relationships, and your entire life. Gratitude is more than a feeling. It is a magnet for abundance. And when I say abundance, I don't mean just wealth or material gain. I mean abundance in peace, clarity, opportunities, relationships, wisdom, and guidance. There is a spiritual law in life. What you focus on multiplies. If your heart is fixated on lack, fear, or dissatisfaction, those are the energies that grow. But if your heart is filled with gratitude, then blessings, solutions, and opportunities begin to multiply in ways that seem almost miraculous. Let me share a story to illustrate this. There was a young man struggling to find his way. He had tried to start a career, but doors kept closing. He faced rejection after rejection and began to feel hopeless. For months, he focused on what he didn't have, what he lacked in skills, connections, and resources. His heart grew heavy, and his vision of the future became clouded. One day, a mentor advised him to start a gratitude journal. The instruction was simple. Each morning, write down 5 things you're grateful for, no matter how small they seem. At first, he struggled. How could he be grateful when he had nothing going right? But he began with the basics: his health, a supportive friend, a roof over his head, the ability to read and learn. Slowly, his focus shifted. Instead of thinking about doors that were closed, he began noticing doors that had always been open. Opportunities he had overlooked became clear. A friend offered advice on a job opportunity, a neighbor connected him with someone in his field, and a small chance to volunteer grew into a meaningful experience that expanded his skills. Gratitude had transformed his heart, and in doing so, it had attracted abundance into his life. This is the power of gratitude. It changes what you notice, and what you notice shapes your reality. When we are thankful, our minds begin to see solutions instead of problems, opportunities instead of obstacles. We begin to recognize the signs and guidance that Allah has already placed before us. Abundance flows not necessarily because life suddenly becomes easy, but because our perception changes. We begin to align with the wisdom and provision that was always there, waiting for us to see it. Gratitude is a spiritual seed. When planted and nurtured, it grows into a tree of abundance. Every blessing you acknowledge multiplies, every challenge you face with thankfulness becomes a lesson, and every step taken with a grateful heart attracts guidance. The universe, in its divine wisdom, responds to the frequency of gratitude. Doors open where there seem to be walls, clarity appears where there was confusion, and peace enters where there was anxiety. Brothers and sisters, if you want abundance in your life, not just material, but spiritual, emotional, and mental abundance, start with gratitude. Count your blessings, write them down, feel them in your heart. Let your focus shift from lack to appreciation, and watch how Allah begins to guide you, provide for you, and illuminate your path in ways you never imagined. Gratitude is not just a habit, it is the key to receiving the life and guidance you were always meant to have. Gratitude is not just about recognizing the blessings we have, it is also about learning to trust Allah in every circumstance. When we are grateful, even in hardship, we begin to acknowledge that Allah's wisdom is far beyond what we can comprehend. Every trial, every delay, every challenge carries a lesson, a hidden blessing, or a guidance that may not be immediately clear. Gratitude trains our hearts to trust, to surrender, and to accept that what comes from Allah is for our ultimate good, even if we cannot see it at the moment. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman who lost someone she dearly loved. The pain was unbearable, and she felt that her life had been shattered. For weeks, she could not eat, could not sleep, and could not focus on anything except the emptiness she felt. She questioned why this had happened, why she had to endure such loss, and why Allah had allowed it. Then, slowly, she started to reflect on what remained. She began to focus on her health, her family, her faith, and the small joys in life. The sunrise, the laughter of children, the kindness of strangers. She began saying Alhamdulillah, even for the smallest things. As her heart softened with gratitude, something miraculous began to happen. She started to notice guidance that she had never seen before. Opportunities to help others appeared. She found herself in the right place at the right time to comfort those who were suffering. She discovered strength within herself that she had never realized existed. Through gratitude, her heart became open to divine guidance. The very loss that had seemed unbearable became a turning point, a catalyst for growth, purpose, and clarity. Gratitude strengthens trust because it reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. It reminds us that even in moments of despair, Allah is watching, providing, and guiding. When we acknowledge the blessings we have, we also acknowledge the hand of Allah in our lives, and with that acknowledgement comes trust. Trust that every difficulty is temporary, that every delay has a reason, and that every hardship carries a hidden mercy. A grateful heart can surrender to divine wisdom, while a heart that complains or resents cannot. Moreover, gratitude transforms the way we respond to life's uncertainties. Instead of panicking, worrying, or trying to control everything, a grateful heart remains patient. Instead of seeing setbacks as failures, it sees lessons and guidance. Instead of fearing the unknown, it embraces the journey with faith. This is why gratitude is so powerful. It aligns our hearts with Allah's will, making us receptive to the guidance that surrounds us every day in every moment. Brothers and sisters, if you want to strengthen your trust in Allah, let gratitude be the foundation. Start by counting your blessings, acknowledging your trials, and recognizing the wisdom in both. Gratitude opens your heart, softens your mind, and aligns your soul with divine guidance. Through gratitude, you will find clarity in confusion, hope in despair, and purpose in every challenge. Let your heart say Alhamdulillah, not only when life is easy, but also when life tests you, for it is in those moments that divine guidance shines the brightest. Brothers and sisters, today we have explored the incredible power of gratitude. We have seen how gratitude shifts our perspective, softens our hearts, invites abundance, and strengthens our trust in Allah. It is more than just saying thank you. It is a way of life, a lens through which we can view the world, even in the midst of trials. When we choose gratitude, our hearts open to divine guidance, our minds become clear, and our lives are transformed in ways we could never have imagined. Remember, life will not always be easy. Challenges will come, losses will hurt, and uncertainties will test you. But in every moment there is a reason to be grateful. In every hardship there is a lesson to learn. When you cultivate a heart of gratitude, you align yourself with the mercy, wisdom, and guidance of Allah. You begin to see blessings that were always there, opportunities that were hidden, and paths that were meant for you all along. Gratitude turns ordinary life into extraordinary life. It transforms pain into purpose, confusion into clarity, and fear into trust. So today, make a choice, pause, reflect, and say Alhamdulillah for everything you have, for every challenge you face, and for every lesson you are learning. Let gratitude guide your heart, illuminate your path, and open the doors that will lead you to a life of clarity, peace, and divine guidance. If this message has touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Help others discover the power of gratitude and the peace it brings. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more inspiration, guidance, and reminders that can transform your life. Let us create a world where grateful hearts shine brightly, opening the way for guidance, abundance, and purpose in every life. Alhamdulillah for every moment, and may your hearts always remain open to the light of gratitude.